Get out of this lobby. People like you don't belong here." Those weren't words said by mistake. They were delivered with authority, like company policy. Loud, cold, and absolutely intentional. Martin Caldwell, the supervisor of the Belmont Crest Hotel in the center of Westbridge, stood firm behind the front desk, arms crossed, judgment etched into every line of his face. He didn't lower his voice. He didn't pull her aside. He made sure everyone in the lobby could hear him. He stared directly at her, a black woman in casual attire, and made a decision on the spot. She didn't belong. But what Martin didn't realize was that in less than 10 minutes, the same woman he was trying to humiliate would turn this scene upside down, in the same lobby, in front of the same crowd. He and his entire staff fired by her. Have you ever experienced something like this? Let us know in the comments and tell us where you're tuning in from, because your story matters too now. Let's go back to where it all began. Naomi Rivers walked through the tall glass doors of the Belmont Crest. No entourage, no flashy accessories, no luxury fashion labels, just a plain black tee, jeans, and a steady gaze that had clearly lived this moment before. Her steps across the marble were calm and measured. Her sneakers barely made a sound, but her presence echoed loudly as she neared the check-in counter. She saw Martin, 250, flanked by two receptionists, Clara Jensen, 32, her sleek bun tighter than her forced smile, and Daniel Ramey, 28, already eyeing Naomi like she was a walking question mark. Not one of them offered a greeting. No smiles, no welcome, just silent judgment, top to bottom, like she was a disruption in their perfect lobby. "I have a reservation," Naomi said, calm but firm. "Penthouse suite, names Rivers." Martin narrowed his eyes, like she'd made a joke. "That's one of our top-tier rooms." "Are you sure you're at the right place?" Naomi didn't acknowledge the jab. She simply slid her ID and a black credit card across the polished counter. Martin took them with 2 fingers, as if they were contaminated. That's odd," he muttered. "This looks questionable." Clara pressed a button below the desk. Her voice rang out through the intercom. "Security 2, front desk, please. We might have someone trying to access a restricted suite, possible credit fraud." Naomi's face didn't shift. Her voice stayed cool. "I'm not here to cause problems, just here for my room." Daniel scoffed. "Yeah, we've seen this trick before. Stolen cards, fake identities, always hoping we won't check." Across the room, a travel vlogger named Leela Monroe, visiting from Portland, had already started recording. "I'm capturing this," she whispered to her friend Jordan, then raised her voice. "This needs to be seen." Jordan activated his live stream. "We're here at the Belmont Crest Hotel in Westbridge," he narrated, "and we're witnessing something deeply wrong unfold right now." From her desk nearby, young concierge Isabel Flores glanced up. Her eyes met Naomi's. Something passed between them. Empathy, perhaps, or quiet outrage. She took a hesitant step forward, but Martin stopped her with a glare. "She doesn't belong," he barked. Naomi pulled out her phone and tapped once, 3 blocks away. Her executive assistant, Dana Brooks, answered immediately. "It's happening," Naomi said softly. Dana was ready. "All systems are in place." Martin, still holding the card, flipped it back and forth like it was lying to him, He said loudly, "We've seen this scam before. People show up, pretend to have a booking, flash a fancy card, then vanish the moment we verify it. Not this time." He handed the card to Daniel. "Confiscate it." Daniel, looking almost pleased, opened a drawer behind the desk. He placed the card into a brushed steel safe and shut it with dramatic force. "You're finished here," he sneered. Lila, still recording, gasped. "They just took her card." Jordan stepped closer. "That's theft. That's not part of any policy." Naomi didn't flinch. Her voice remained steady. "You're going to regret this." At 24, Naomi had walked into a small luxury hotel in Charleston after a sleepless overnight flight. She was wearing a hoodie and leggings, drained from back-to-back business meetings. Reservation confirmed. Room paid in full. The man at the counter looked her over and said, "You don't seem like our typical guest," then claimed their system was down and told her to come back later. She ended up sleeping in her rental car that night by sunrise. She had already started drafting the business blueprint that would evolve into one of the biggest hospitality empires in the nation, and now, years later, standing in the middle of a lobby she owned, in a hotel built under her name, the same condescension, the same type of man, was once again trying to erase her. Martin leaned forward. "Your booking's been cancelled. We don't tolerate deception. You're blocking real guests." Naomi's expression didn't change. "You mean the ones filming this right now?" She nodded toward Leela and Jordan, whose phones were still recording. Other guests had stopped everything. Some stared, some whispered, some shifted uncomfortably. Isabel stood off to the side. Jaw clenched. Clara stepped forward. "You need to leave now." Naomi met her eyes. "Are you sure about that?" Clara's voice was firm, but her posture betrayed the tension. "Absolutely, or we'll call security." Martin grinned. "Go ahead, cause a scene, see how that works out for you." Naomi didn't blink. "That was the last time you speak to me like that." Finally, Isabel stepped forward. "She's right. I saw her name this morning in the system. Reservation confirmed." Martin turned to her like a whip. You say one more word and you're out too. Naomi calmly picked up her phone again. This time her tone sharpened. Dana, mark this moment. Save the footage. Log the time stamped. Dana's voice replied clearly over speaker. Timestamp locked. Systems ready. Jordan pointed toward the safe, where the card sat behind the glass. It literally says, Rivers, VIP. It's real. She's real. Martin rolled his eyes. Anyone can fake a card. Especially someone like Naomi. Cut him off. Finish that sentence. Go on. But he didn't. The words dried up in his throat. As he became aware of the growing circle forming around them, Naomi stepped closer. Her tone was low, controlled, but each word struck like thunder. You just made the most costly mistake of your professional life. Martin smirked, trying to hold ground. Oh, really? Do you think so? Naomi's eyes didn't waver. I know so. The tension tightened like a rope around the entire room. No one, not Martin, not Clara, not Daniel, had the slightest clue who they were dealing with, but that was about to change. Daniel's, the voice suddenly cut through the silence, holding up the small silver key like it was a badge of honor. He raised his chin. This card is now company property, he announced, and until the bank confirms otherwise, you're not getting it back. He grinned, confident, performative, convinced he was in control. Behind Daniel, the metallic click of the safe echoed like a slammed door, but he had no idea what he had just triggered. Naomi Rivers didn't move. Her face was unreadable, her silence more commanding than any shouted protest. Martin Caldwell leaned in again, his eyes darting nervously toward the swelling crowd. You're wasting everyone's time, he said. Leave now, or we'll make that decision for you. Clara, emboldened by Martin's authority and Daniel's little performance, stepped out from behind the desk. She straightened her blazer, walked up to Naomi, and reached for her arm. You've been warned, she said. It's time for you to go. The moment her hand touched Naomi's sleeve, the air shifted. Gasps burst from the guests nearby. Leela Monroe's camera caught the contact instantly. She just grabbed her, she shouted, already posting the clip online under a chilling caption. It is happening live at Belmont Crest. Jordan's livestream chat exploded. Over 100 viewers, most of them flooding the feed with disbelief and outrage. Isabel Flores stepped forward, her voice tight with restrained anger. You can't put your hands on a guest, she snapped. Her booking is legitimate. Clara spun around. If you want to keep your job, stay out of it. But Isabel didn't back down. She looked at Naomi, still unmoved, and stepped closer. I'm not covering for you, she said to Martin. That was when Martin dropped the last layer of courtesy. She's trying to scam us, he hissed. People like her always think they can cheat the system. He said it low, but loud enough for several guests nearby to hear. One woman, older, holding her phone a bit higher, whispered, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Another, a man in a sharp navy blazer, leaned toward Jordan's phone. You getting this? Jordan nodded. Every second, Naomi stood still, composed at the eye of the storm. She raised her phone back to her ear. Dana, she said calmly, escalate the internal audit system. Start logging everything. Every word from this moment forward. Dana's voice came through with precision. Understood. Timestamped. Confirmed. Do you want Carla on standby? Naomi replied. Give me 60 seconds. Just as she spoke, Daniel leaned over the front desk, his voice booming across the lobby. You're a fraud, lady. You think some fancy card gets you in here? Go back to wherever you came from. A murmur of disapproval surged through the crowd. Isabel stepped fully out from the concierge station and positioned herself beside Naomi. I've worked here for 3 years, she said. I've seen this pattern again and again. A solo guest walks in, black, confident, not dripping in designer brands, and suddenly she's suspicious. Martin's glare hardened. And every time someone challenges you, Isabel went on, you call it company policy, but it's not policy. It's you. Memories stirred in Naomi's mind. She was 16, wearing her Sunday dress, waiting for her parents in a hotel lobby in Raleigh. A woman at the front desk walked up and said, This lounge is for guests only. Naomi tried to explain, but they didn't listen. She was escorted outside, treated like a stray. That moment, that shame never left, but it didn't break her. It sharpened her. It built her back in the lobby. Martin had had enough. He turned sharply to Isabel. I want her out now, or security removes both of you. Clara, quiet since the filming resumed, quickly interjected. She refused to show valid ID. She's violating our terms. I'm reporting this, but the tide had already turned. Jordan, still streaming, turned the camera on himself. Just so we're clear, he said. We're watching a hotel guest who gave her full name, ID, and card be harassed by staff. And now they're trying to put hands on her. He stared into the lens. This isn't just bad service. This is disgusting. Naomi turned to Daniel. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Return my card. Now. Daniel leaned across the desk, his smirk still holding. Or what? Naomi didn't blink. Or you'll be blacklisted from the Crest network. Permanently. Offers. No references, no appeal. Clara scoffed. You don't speak for the Belmont Group, but Isabel didn't hesitate. Yes, she does. Martin's voice cracked like a whip. You're crossing the line, Isabel. You don't even know who she is. Is Lila still filming from the side? Cut in. Oh, she knows. We all do. She pointed her camera back to Naomi. Look at her posture. Look at that calm. That's not someone pleading for service. That's someone letting you bury yourself. Naomi's voice remained steady. Daniel, one final warning. For the first time, Daniel's smirk faltered. Martin tried to reel things back. This isn't personal. It's just policy. But the moment was already gone. Lila's post had already gone viral. Jordan's stream was climbing fast. Guests were whispering, some openly shaking their heads. I've stayed here every month for 5 years. One man muttered, not anymore. A young woman holding a suitcase looked at Isabel and asked, wait, is she who I think she is? Isabel didn't speak, but her silence was enough. Then, the shift. The moment that turned the entire lobby on its head. Isabel took a full step forward, her voice no longer trembling. This isn't the first time Martin ignored situations like this. He's been reported. I filed 3 reports just last month. 2 were from solo black women, all swept under the rug. Martin's face went pale, then flushed red. That's not true, he snapped. Jordan panned the camera toward him. You sure about that? Naomi slowly turned in place. Every guest now had a phone up. Every eye was on her too. Anyone watching, she said, her tone strong but composed. Your unchecked reign here is over. Martin made one last play. I'll call the police myself. Naomi's lips curled into the faintest smile. Please do. And for the first time, Martin hesitated. Because what he saw in her face wasn't anger, or fear, or even defiance. It was power. Steady, measured, completely beyond his reach. Guests began moving, quiet at first, but intentional. A woman rolled her suitcase directly in Clara's path. A man unplugged his charger and walked to stand beside Isabel. Jordan turned the lens outward, capturing the shift. They're standing with her now, he said into the live stream. Naomi took one slow step forward, then spoke. This lobby belongs to me. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Daniel's smirk collapsed. Clara lowered her gaze. Martin blinked hard, as if trying to rewrite what he'd just heard. And in that single heartbeat, everything changed. What once was a room filled with tension turned. How would you react if someone tried to throw you out of a hotel you owned? Tell us in the comments. Martin's voice broke the silence, sharp, cracking, desperate. Get her out. Now. But it was too late. The crowd wasn't silent anymore. Phones were held high. Whispers had turned into bold, unfiltered outrage. Martin, red-faced, shaking under a power he no longer held, pushed forward anyway. She's trespassing. She's lying, he bellowed. Martin slammed his hand down on the front desk. Intercom button. Daniel's voice buzzed through every speaker in the hotel lobby. To all staff, unauthorized person in the lobby, do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Possible fraud alert. When the announcement ended, a heavy silence swallowed the room. Naomi didn't so much as blink, but the guests did. Lila shouted from the corner. She's not a fraud. We're recording everything. Her voice wasn't shaky with fear. It burned with anger. Jordan's stream view count surged past 2,000. Comments were flooding in. This is theft. Is this for real? How can this happen at a 5-star hotel? A mother near the check-in line clutched her daughter's arm and backed away. They're going to regret this, she whispered, still clinging to orders. Clara grabbed Naomi's arm again. She yanked hard, trying to pull her toward the exit. Let's go, she hissed, teeth clenched. You're humiliating yourself. But Isabel stepped in, youngest on staff, only one who'd spoken up. And now, standing directly beside Naomi. Touch her again, Isabel said, loud, clear, unshaken, and you'll deal with me. Clara froze. You'll be fired. She spat. Isabel didn't flinch. Then fire me. But you're not laying a hand on her again. Martin surged forward, eyes wild. Do you even know who she is? He roared. She's a fraud. Look at her. He gestured violently. Black t-shirt, jeans, sneakers. You expect me to believe she belongs in the penthouse? Naomi's reply came soft, even deadly. You say fraud like it's a shield. Like if you repeat it enough times, you can undo what you've done. She took one step closer. The space between them tightened like the end of a rope being pulled at 29. Naomi had flown into Phoenix for a keynote wearing a navy pantsuit, professional, understated. At check-in, the man had looked at her ID, then her face, then the card. This can't be you, he had said. We need a second ID. She gave it, then a third. Still, they made her wait. 2 hours, and during that time she watched 3 white men breeze in, get upgraded suites, and never even show identification. That night, she wrote the first version of her company's guest policy, zero tolerance for profiling. That moment never left her, just like this one never would. Call security, Martin barked. Daniel, hovering near the hallway, looked unsure for the first time. He didn't move, because in front of him stood not a woman hoping to be allowed in, but someone who knew exactly where she belonged. And worse, everyone was watching. Lila's phone panned from face to face. Every twitch, every flicker of guilt, every collapsing mask. Jordan turned his mic toward a nearby guest. Sir, what do you see happening here? The man didn't hesitate. I see a woman being pushed out of a hotel that clearly belongs to her. Martin whipped around. That's slander. She hasn't shown proof. Naomi calmly lifted her phone, aiming it at the crowd. Would anyone like proof? Jordan called out. Show them. But she didn't flash a badge or a contract. Instead, she turned to Isabel. Can you check the reservation system? Isabel nodded. Double quotes. Yes. Reserved under Rivers. Penthouse checked in remotely. Naomi followed up. Is there a VIP status on it? Another nod. Yes. Override. Owner access. The lobby stopped, like time had frozen mid-breath. Martin's eyes darted. That could be faked. She could have hacked in. Lila snapped back. You really think someone just strolled in off the street, hacked your system, and brought 2,000 witnesses with her? Clara, visibly pale, lowered her eyes to the marble floor. Daniel stepped forward. This time his movements were slower, less certain. I put the card in the safe like you told me to, Martin, but what if we're wrong? Naomi turned toward him. You were ordered to take something that wasn't yours. And you did, but you still had a choice. Daniel opened his mouth, but the words never formed. Then the crowd moved on. An elderly woman, white hair tucked beneath a floral scarf, stepped forward. She placed herself between Naomi and Clara, her voice quiet but unshakable. You will not lay another hand on her. A man joined her, then a young mother with a stroller, and within seconds the loose half-circle of guests had surrounded Naomi, a silent wall of witnesses. No one had asked them, but they stood there anyway. Martin, now hunched behind the front desk, suddenly looked far smaller than he had 10 minutes before. Naomi scanned the guests who had stepped forward. This is what happens, she said softly, when silence is no longer an option. Jordan panned his phone toward the growing human shield. They're standing with her now, he whispered to the camera, and I don't think they're leaving. Martin's panic finally boiled over. You're all being played, he barked. She's manipulating you. But then Daniel, still holding the intercom mic, murmured something barely louder than a breath, yet it echoed across every speaker in the lobby. She owns the place, doesn't she? It hung in the air like a spark before a fire. Lila slowly turned her camera toward Naomi's face. Do you? She asked, breathless. Isabel answered. She does. Gasps fluttered through the room. Near the lounge, a man whispered, wait, this is her hotel. Clara looked at Martin in horror, said she was lying. Martin said nothing. Jordan, still recording, looked directly into his lens. This is the moment everything changed. Naomi stepped forward, past Isabel, past the circle, right up to the front desk, face to face with Martin. You tried to remove me, she said quietly. You framed me, called me a thief, humiliated me in my own lobby. Martin opened his mouth, but no sound came. From Naomi's phone, Dana's voice rang out, clear and calm. Naomi, Carla is standing by. Shall I patch her through? Naomi's eyes never left Martin's. Yes, right now. She tapped the screen once. Carla Bennett's voice came through the speaker, precise, professional. Naomi, all preparations are in place, waiting on your word. Naomi took a breath. Terminate Martin Caldwell. Terminate Clara Jensen. Terminate Daniel Ramy. Effective immediately. Revoke system access. Log and timestamp all activity for legal review. A pause. Then Carla confirmed. Understood. Processing now. And then BZZZT. Martin's badge flashed red. Clara's followed. Then Daniel's live. In front of everyone, no shouting, no screaming, no chaos, just justice, just with precise, unshakable. In that moment, every guest understood the truth. Naomi Rivers hadn't just defended herself. She had dismantled something toxic in less than 10 minutes. What would you have done if you'd witnessed this moment? Tell us in the comments below. Martin stared down at his red buzzing badge like it had betrayed him. Daniel went pale as his own ID blinked, locked out of the Crest system in real time. Clara clutched the desk edge as if gripping it would keep her job from slipping away, but it already had. And the lobby was no longer theirs. Asterisk, asterisk.